U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton is the latest nomination from President Trump. He announced this on social media yesterday, nominating him to be the next director of national intelligence. Now, this comes after the president faced backlash for initially choosing Bill Pulte for the role. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman joins us live right now. Katrina, thank you for joining us today. So can you tell us a bit more about Clayton, and does he have more intel experience than Pulte?
Mugo, the reality is that it doesn't really look like he has intelligence experience, just like with Bill Pulte, although he has been a better received candidate. He's currently the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. That's a very significant district where they do bring cases that have national security interests. Jay Clayton signed off, in fact, on the case against Venezuelan president, or former Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro. So in that sense, there is something in that space. And it does look like they are really trying to push his confirmation forward as soon as possible. For a little bit more background on him, he is formerly an attorney in the private sector. He was working at Sullivan and Cromwell, the law firm, right before he became appointed U.S. attorney. And he's also worked in the public sector. During Trump's first administration, he was the chairman of the SEC, so he has worked in the prior Trump administration. He's also known for his relationship with President Trump, to golf with the president, to socialize with him. And something that's really notable that happened is shortly before this nomination occurred, he had an interview on television where he was asked about the allegations of potential fraud in California's election. This is something that the president has been talking about. And what Jay Clayton said is, we're doing an absolutely terrible job and the American people are right to question it. And he said that California's mail-in voting laws actually created a potential opportunity for fraud. So those are statements that are very much in line with some things that the president has been saying, and it happened right before this nomination occurred.
And so, Katrina, I want to switch gears here and ask you about this because you were at a hearing today for the New York Times lawsuit against the Pentagon over press access. What stood out to you during that hearing?
Yeah, Mugo, this is a significant issue for the press. It's the second time the New York Times has brought a lawsuit, and essentially the Pentagon has created this requirement where journalists have to have an escort in order to report in the Pentagon. And they say, the New York Times argues here, that this is causing irreparable harm. They also brought up the fact that in the press office, apparently this is new, they've now created a SCIF, which is this sort of space where you can only look at classified information. And so they actually called it Orwellian. They said the press can't go into the press office. They say this is creating all sorts of issues when it comes to reporting on what's happening in the Pentagon, which is very important information for the public. Now, the Department of Defense argues that access is not being cut off, that people who have wanted to come are able to come. When they've wanted to talk to people, they can talk to people, and the press just doesn't get unfettered access under the First Amendment. Now, there's some more briefing on this, so we don't have a decision yet, but it is a very crucial issue about press access when it comes to what's going on at the Department of Defense.
It certainly is. And Katrina, you also have some breaking news about attempts to block the UFC event at the White House that's going on this weekend. What can you tell us about that?
A judge has just denied this lawsuit where some plaintiffs were trying to stop the UFC fight from moving forward. They had claimed aesthetic, physical, and other harms brought by the creation of this large claw structure on the south lawn of the White House, and the fact that the Lincoln Memorial is also being used for aspects of this UFC fight. And the filing just came out, so I haven't gotten to read all the details, but the judge has determined that in weighing all of the balance of interest here, he's going to allow this fight to move forward this weekend.
Okay. Katrina Kaufman, thank you so much for your reporting.